Hello, welcome to This Day. I'm BJ Arnett. I'm your host today, and I just want to thank you for letting me into your home to tell you about some wonderful people who have great stories to tell about the things that are happening in their life that God did. And this next guest is really a joy to talk to him about joy. Enjoying God. The name of his book is Do You Enjoy God? 12 Steps to Enjoying God Every Single Day. I don't think we think about that very often, so I know this is going to be a good conversation with Pete Rogers. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, do you enjoy God? That's not something that we think about as the forefront of our relationship with God.
It's not. And actually, when I ran across that, it was really a lot of self-reflection on me, is that do I enjoy God the way I believe that He wants us to? And, you know, this started for me back in 2014, actually. And I was asking myself, you know, if our purpose is to glorify God and to enjoy Him forever, how do I go about doing that? And so I started just writing down little ideas on how to do that. And 8 or 10 years later, the book, I realized I had written a book without even realizing I'd written a book.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I decided to start compiling it all together so that it would make a little bit more logical sense than just my notes for myself, right?
So why is it important to enjoy God?
Well, if we remember that God created us for His purpose, right? Not for ourselves, but for His purpose. And for us to fully understand and I believe recognize who God is for us, then I believe He wants us to not just enjoy His blessings, or as I like to say it, not just acknowledge Him and not just love Him, not just worship Him, not just tolerate Him from time to time, but to also to enjoy Him on an intimate and personal level. And I think in doing that, you know, if we read the Psalms, if we read Paul's letters, it's always talking about how we are to be drawn so close to God, and by enjoying Him, again, not just His blessings or His creation or the things that He has done, but to enjoy who He is, then it can be very life-changing. It really can.
You know, I think you bring up a critical point. Not just His blessings, or not just the things that we feel like we'll receive, but having an intimate relationship with Him, where there's an intimate conversation, if you will.
Right.
An intimate way of delving into who He is and why He is. And an intimacy and listening to Him and what He's saying to us as individuals.
Absolutely. And that's what the book covers. You know, it's not really in order, BJ, except chapter 1, because it does start with a relationship. You have to have that relationship with God, accept Him as your Lord and Savior. And I break down a lot of different relationships that we have as people. You know, like for me, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm an employee, I'm an employer, and all those are different relationships. And how they work with the people that I'm involved with are all different. And my relationship with God is unique and different and special, just like my relationship with my wife is different from my relationship with my children. But it doesn't make them any less special. But my relationship with God is the most special one.
Right.
And then we talk about what does it mean to be made in God's image, and recognizing that I carry the thumbprint of God and you carry the thumbprint of God. And what that does is not only let me see me as someone made in God's image, but to see you as someone made in God's image, and to see the guy who just cut me off in the road as somebody made in God's image, and the person on the street. We all carry that image of God. So that's in the book as well, and it helps us to, I think, enjoy God by recognizing that we're all image bearers of the Creator.
Image bearers of the Creator. That kind of like is, what is the word? It's kind of daunting when you think about you are an image bearer of the Creator.
Yeah.
That gives you an understanding of your responsibility on this earth.
Right. Yes, ma'am. It really does.
But do we take joy in responsibility?
We should. We should. And there's actually a chapter in there about our work ethic and about how we carry God into our everyday life. You know, because it's easy to give Sunday school answers, if you will, for these type of things. But how do I enjoy God in the everyday? how do I recognize the daily miracles God has in my life? I believe that's the chapter there, is recognizing the miracles in our life. Because when we think of miracles, we think of, Jesus raising somebody from the dead, or the cancer is miraculously gone. But every morning I wake up and I get to see my wife. That's a miracle for me. And we overlook what we have called mundane, but are really daily miracles of when God is active in our life. And that's one of the glorious things about God, is He is active in our life all the time. All the time.
Whether we're recognizing
That's
it
right.
or not, He is always doing what He said He would do. He's always speaking what He said He would
That's
speak.
right.
So He's not the author of confusion, so He's always speaking from the base of truth, and nothing that He says can be anything but truth.
Absolutely.
So we've got to abandon our own way of thinking.
Right.
And put on the mind of Christ.
Right, right. And one of those chapters is, how do you know what your gifts are? How do you, that has been a question that I have had so many times from people. How do I know what spiritual gifts God has given me? So I break that down and tell them, here's some things that you can look at to see, these are the gifts that you have. And I remember years ago, a well-seasoned pastor, and I was having that conversation with him. And I said, yeah, but I really enjoy this, or I wish I could do that. And he said, Pete, if you try to spend your time making your weaknesses stronger, then your strengths are getting weaker. So focus on the gifts God has given you and make those better. And let somebody else who has these other gifts, let them plug that in.
Yeah. So we are each given spiritual gifts.
Absolutely.
They don't have to look like anyone else's, and they should not look like anyone else's, because we're unique. We're uniquely made.
Absolutely. In Corinthians 12, at the end of 12 going into 13, it says that the Spirit gives gifts as He determines.
Yes.
For the common good. And that's the part that we don't like now. For the common good. It's not for me. It's not to make me look good.
It's for everybody else.
It's for the church and the body of believers to look good and to be better and to be that. So He gives the gifts how He determines. It's our job to recognize what they are and then to use Him for His glory.
As we began to realize that we are to be used by God for His glory.
Yes, ma'am.
So that those who are looking see the Christ in us and are able to receive something from that.
Yes, ma'am.
So as we move forward, we're really simply like a receptacle for God. We're this package that all of Him should be living inside of. And when someone looks into that package, they should only find Him, nothing of us.
Absolutely.
And that's part of the gifts, and that's part of the understanding of being enjoyed by God and us enjoying God.
Yes, ma'am.
That's really cool. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
I think that one of the things, I'm looking at one of your chapters, and it says, enjoying God in daily struggles. I know, look, I'm gonna look right into the camera. Have you ever woken up with just a struggle and you don't know where it came from? Ain't nobody said nothing to you. The lights are not even on, and you wake up with some little strange struggle in your own mind. There are struggles that people go through every day that really are not us to hold on to, but for whatever reason,
we can't let go of them.
Can't let go of them. It's like, what is that? Why is that happening? So talk to us about enjoying God through that struggle.
Yeah, I'd like to.
And removing that daily part.
Yeah, and there's a reason that it's daily struggles, because there's another chapter about trying times, right? And those are the big ones, all right? But on the daily struggles, it's the things that every one of us has. Now, they're going to be different, right? I have 5 children, as an example. Now, most of them are grown now. I still have one at home. But I can remember vividly when we had 3 in diapers at one time and 2 starting school. Daily struggle of, all right, I only got 2 arms. I got one on this arm, one on this one. That one's crying and it needs to be fed. That is a real struggle for people. And I can remember, as an example to that, I had on my podcast a few weeks ago a lady who has a postpartum depression ministry, right? But we were talking about the dads who get overlooked who also
During that, they go through that.
Yes, who have serious postpartum depression, because everybody forgets about Dad.
That's so
How's
true.
Mom doing? How's the baby doing? What about me?
Yeah.
I've been through this 5 times. I'm still in recovery. You know.
But you're so right. People don't think about the dads, and the dads go through the struggle of wondering, am I being everything I need to be in order to be the great father to these 5 children? The daily struggle of knowing that I'm putting food on the table and putting a roof over the head.
And being a good husband.
And being a good husband, right. And being a good lead of my home while assisting my wife and caring for my wife.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
So that's some of the daily struggles. And I have examples in there of people who've allowed me to share their stories of daily examples. And it's not the big ones like I just got laid off my job. That's another chapter. Or, you know, you got diagnosed with cancer. But it's the day-to-day things, getting stuck in traffic for 2 hours when you need to get home. You got to get the kids to ball practice or to dance recital or whatever it is. And these are things that just cause the world to mound up against us and say, how can I enjoy God in that process?
And enjoying God is part of the gift that God gives to you, the understanding of you, for you to know that His relationship with you is His most important.
Yes, ma'am.
We're here to have relationship with Him. And because of that relationship, we're able to minister love to all of those who would want to hear, who would want to touch Him. So as you look at, do you enjoy God, and these 12 steps to enjoying God every day, is there one particular thing that you would want people to walk away with in our few moments, that they understand, that they can understand that this is the key to all of this?
Yeah, the word intentional comes to mind, BJ, is that if we are intentional, I mean, let's be honest, we make time for things that are important to us.
Yes.
You know, we always do. So everybody's busy nowadays. We have a million balls in the air at one time, but the things that are important to us, we always find time for. So if we are intentional in our relationship with God and intentional about being who He wants us to be. Who do you need me to be today, God? Not who does Pete want to be, who do you need me to be? Then it just makes everything so much easier. When I started on this path in 2014, of every morning before coffee,
and that's a big deal.
The brain's not even working really well yet.
That is a biggie.
But I asked myself, how am I going to enjoy God today? And some days, like you said, you wake up and it just, nothing is going right.
Right.
Nothing is going right. And this act was actually Monday for me. And I remember telling my wife, I'm trying to do what I preach. I'm trying to see how I can enjoy God in everything that's going wrong. And it was a struggle. It was difficult, but by being intentional, then I kept God where He needed to be, and that was in front.
Right.
And Pete was behind that. And then, you know, just keep your priorities right. God, Pete, wife, everything else.
It's you know, it's that priority list. The understanding of the priority is that God has to be the first priority, our relationship with Him. And then all of the other relationships come out of the single most important relationship.
Yes.
Is our relationship with God the Father through His Son, Jesus Christ.
No doubt.
And then it's the father and the mother and then the children and all of those that we come in contact with. But it's getting the order. The order right.
Yep. And that goes back to what I said about being intentional.
Yes, indeed.
Being intentional. Constantly being intentional.
I love it. I love it. Do you enjoy God? 12 steps to enjoying God every day. And I'm going to say every single day. But the book says every day. And this is by Pete Rogers. And you can find out more about Pete Rogers and this book and the things that will help you understand how to live out this life through ChristianOutdoors.org. ChristianOutdoors.org. Pete Rogers, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Great book. Do you enjoy God? The 12 steps to enjoying God every day. These are practicalities. This is practical steps that you can do. Have a great day. Let's activate. Start with the first one. God bless.